Thursday, April 8th, there's a lot going on today. So I'm trying to make sure that I am super focused and that I wait for clean setups because there's a lot of good looking charts. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be overwhelmed by watching too much or thinking that I'm going to miss everything. So I have a decent watch list and I'm just trying to, focus on stuff that looks really good and not overtrade. So now just top down approach, looking at SPY. This does look like a little bit of a bull flag, right? It is very extended though. This is very extended from the 9 EMA. So just keeping that in mind. It is above what was the prior all-time high, 407.24. We're getting the gap above that. So does this continue? Obviously this is very strong. I don't want to fight that trend, but I wouldn't be surprised if eventually, not too far away, there's just a bit of a pullback, just kind of normal ebb and flow, push, pull back to the 9, hold the 9, maybe continue to go. So not really worried until it takes out 405.40. So just knowing those technicals, not really having a bias and seeing how it plays out. So that's the SPY. And now just going into the Qs, very good looking daily, reclaim the short-term moving averages, close to all-time highs, nice flag pattern on the daily, trading above this prior pivot, 332.83. So it does look good for some upside room. If for some reason there's any sort of weakness, not really worried until it takes out this prior low area, 329.37. If it does, it looks like maybe there's some room down to the 9 EMA, but it is nice and strong. So the trend is up, and I don't want to fight that. I have a decent watch list today. So just to get into that, starting with Tesla, like to watch it every day because it's, has a lot of range, can provide some good setups. So I just have prior day's high, 691.38, pre-market high, 682, pre-market low, 672.65, and prior day's low, 667.84. It is right near the short-term moving averages. So if it loses those, maybe it goes a little lower, but if the market is strong, I don't want to fight the overall trend of the market, but just, wait to see if any of these technical levels get taken out. And I'm also watching GME, so has a little bit of volume pre-market, nice push. And the levels I'm watching is pre-market high, 189.16 and 195. If it can take out 195, it feels like this could possibly squeeze again. Also watching Roku. So pretty nice move off the low right around 300. Coming up to this prior pivot resistance area, 371. If it breaks it, feels like this does have some upside room. And maybe it can get to the 50 SMA on the daily. It doesn't have to get there in one day, but just knowing that a lot of times, if there's space between these moving averages, it can push up to it. Also watching Square. So Square has been on a nice run lately. And nice candle yesterday, reclaimed the 50 SMA. So if it takes out prior day's high, 249.90, this does look like it has some room higher. Also watching PayPal. Kind of like to watch Square and PayPal in unison. Had a decent move. Feels like this almost needs to catch up to Square. Like Square had that big move. PayPal really hasn't had that yet. Maybe it's lagging. Possibly could get that move today. I have absolutely no idea. It has reclaimed the 50 SMA. So now prior day's high, 259.22, and pre-market high, 259.93. Takes those out. Does look like it has some upside room. Also watching CRWD, and this is just strictly from the daily chart. Nice daily setup. Pretty nice candle. Couple days ago, reclaimed the short-term moving averages, nice inside day, and just this prior resistance area, 198. As you can see, it's hit it numerous times. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. How many times can that wall get hit before it finally breaks? If it takes out 198, this looks like it has room up to the 50 SMA. Doesn't have to get there in one day, but just knowing where it is. And the last one on my list is going to be Facebook. A little extended, has had a very big move, but when momentum gets going, you never know when it's going to stop. So I just have the prior day's high marked, 314.25. We are gapping above that a little bit. And then pre-market high, 316.23. If it takes that out, could possibly go higher. So that's my list. Those are the technicals. I'm watching more names than I usually do. This is where I put those color coordinated lines on my chart. So that way visually, I can see where things are trading at and then try not to get caught up in the noise in between and then just wait to take good setups around those upside levels and the downside levels. And I have the upside levels color coordinated to green for obviously long. And then I have the downside levels color coordinated to red for short. And I have that on my Thinkorswim charts above the main screen that you see where I'm trading. All right, so I'm looking at this PayPal. So it did pull back a little bit off the open. It cleared that technical level, 259.22. It already took out pre-market high, but just looking at this high of day, 260.62. I'm going to go for the break right there, high of day. Let's see if this can pick up. Got filled at 285. Does look pretty good, nice and strong. Those are some nice candles. Okay, took out high day, but just not really moving as quick as I thought it would. So still just watching it. It does look really good. Daily chart looks good. I'm just going to come out of that right there. So that did not go as quick as I wanted to see, you know. I really like momentum. Get going quick, and if not, just get out of it. I like the CRWD 198. If it can break that, it does look like it has room to the upside. And I don't think the options are great on it, so I would trade shares. Take the break of 198. Just looks really good on the daily. 198.08. Can this get going? Okay, so that CRWD was pretty nasty. Got in, pulled back, crazy light volume. Got right back up to kind of where I got in, and I just got out of it because that was a situation where I took a trade. The volume just wasn't great, and I got caught in some crap. So I just got to make sure that when I take these trades, pay attention to the volume because it was low volume, and that trade was sloppy because of it. And of course, now it goes, right? It's how it usually works out. The moment you get out is when this continues. You know, I was in just a bit of a sloppy trade. Came in, volume was really weird. Spread started to widen up. Came right back to where I got in, had the push above, pulled back in. And just to be safe, I wanted to get out because you never know. Lower volume. And then obviously the candle that I ended up getting out on right towards the low, that's where the volume finally started to pick up. So a better way to trade that would have been wait for that volume. Let this happen. See this big volume bar right there. Takes out high of day and then finally has a nice move. Just getting the idea from the daily chart that 198 was a very technical level and then pretty much straight up to right around 201. So very nice move. Unfortunately, I'm not taking advantage of it, and that's just how it goes sometimes. I am watching Roku. The only problem with it is the spreads. Option spreads are pretty nasty. So the only way I'd want to take it is if they tighten up a little bit, but if it takes out high of day, it does look good. I'm going to take the high day right there. Got filled at 595. Got 3. Really just like to see this really take off. Roku can be a mover. When it gets going, it really can move. Pretty big level on the daily. 371, just took it out. All right, I'm just going to come out of that. So started to show a little bit of weakness. Got a pretty quick pop and then just took it for a scalp. And notice how in that trade I only took 3 contracts because obviously tried the PayPal with 5. Didn't go my way. CRWD trade was just kind of an ugly trade, so I ended up getting out of that. Took shares, small loss, and then just kind of realizing that I'm not able to get a lot going right off the open. You know, I don't want to start taking bigger size, or even the same size. So for me, I just size down a little bit. See if I can find something that works. And, you know, got a small win out of Roku, which is great. Now I'm just going to kind of sit back, relax, see if there is anything else that looks really good. And if not, I don't want to press it. I am looking at Tesla just because had the dip, got back above VWAP following the 9 EMA. High day 679.57. Pre-market high is above at 682. You know, I want to make sure to be careful because it has been a little all over the place, but if it takes out high a day, this does look good. I'm going to take 3 contracts right there, just anticipating the high day break. A little bit of a chase because a big candle, but that was some nice buying. Takes out high a day. This does look good. Also knowing pre-market high is above. Got filled at 987. Just want to see 680 get taken out. This is just a trade where I'm going with the trend on a momentum name. High day. Almost like a really quick little flag pattern right there. Can this get through 680? Okay, I'm just coming out of that. So I had a couple minutes consolidation that looked really good, like a nice flag pattern. Pulled around a little bit, was still above the 9 EMA, had that push above 680, rejected pretty hard to make a new high, so I just bailed on the position for a small win. If this can consolidate for a few more minutes, I do like it for another setup. Anticipating the 680 break, that does look like a nice flag pattern. Got filled at 1050. Okay, nice pop. I'm just getting out of that. So I know how Tesla moves. I want to see that go right away. That went through 680 and then just kind of paused right at 680.45, pulled back in. The moment that that thing starts to slow down, especially with a clean flag pattern like that, I don't want to hold it too long because I have been caught before where that looks really good to get going, and then it starts to roll over, and then the pullbacks can be pretty aggressive, because I know I'm not the only one who's looking at that. I wanted to see that get through 680, 680.50, really start to move. Did not do that, pulled in a little bit, and I ended up just getting out of it for a very small win. So there it goes. That was the pop that I was looking for. And of course, there's plenty of times where had I been a little bit more patient, I would have got the move. But I'm really trying to focus on the downside more than ever now. If it doesn't go relatively quick, just get out. Worst case scenario, so what? I miss a move. I know that there could possibly be another one around the corner. But if I, consistently be patient with stuff like I'm guilty of doing, a lot of times it will lead to those videos I've done prior where the losing days are pretty big. So I'm making it a major focus of mine this month and moving forward that any trade that I take, I want it to be, if it's a loss, just keep it relatively small. So what if I miss some upside? Make sure those losses aren't big, because tomorrow's another day. Things can always set up again. And if I just consistently make sure that the downside is mitigated, it should lead to good P&L at the end of each month. So I'm still watching, but to be honest, the price action today was a little tricky. It definitely was not easy. Just to go through the watch list, let's look at all the names. So Peloton did have a very nice move through 119. Funny enough, whenever the thing that is more secondary is on your list, I feel like that's the one that sometimes has the best setup. So this was okay. It wasn't super clean because, me, if I take this right around 119-ish, it pulls back. I don't want to hold it. I like to take the quick scalps. So had it pulled in, probably would have bailed on it, and it would have been a really small winner. Try the flag again, pulls in. I maybe would have got chopped up, but probably came out really small green on it. So let's go look at GME. GME just pretty much sold off aggressively off the open. I don't really see any clean setups here. Maybe a bit of a downside flag pattern at 182 to fill the downside gap, but just wasn't really the trade I was looking for. So looking at Roku, obviously I took a very quick scalp on this move and it worked out okay, but the options are kind of spready on Roku. So, I wasn't able to take 5 contracts. I'm glad that I only took 3. Just be careful, be safe, make sure, I'm not taking a decent size when the spread is a little wide. So took smaller size, got a nice win, which was fine. Tesla looked like it was going to sell off. I guess this was a decent downside flag. It happened pretty quick. And then, I chased some strength up here, but took small size and then kind of got chopped up a little bit in here. And then the moment it was just showing a lot of struggle and some issues, anytime I got a pop in my favor, I just got out of it. So I ended up making a tiny amount on Tesla. Square was probably the setup of the day, but the thing with this is it was very quick. So it was essentially a 1-minute opening range break right around that technical level 250, and then it did have a very nice move. But in the current market, I don't like taking trades 1 or 2 minutes off the open. So I just let this go. But this one actually ended up being the best move and would have made the most amount of money pretty quick off the open. And there goes Tesla. So while I was talking, Tesla just had a nice pop. Pre-market high 682. So now it took out pre-market high. If it can have some sort of clean flag pattern, I think that would be a good setup. But while that develops, just going through the rest of the watch list. So PayPal, tried it right here, pulled in a little bit, ended up taking a loss. Yes, it eventually had the pop, but just to be safe, in case this happened to be a short-term top, I didn't want it to pull in more. So I just got out of it for a small loss. CRWD got caught in a really low volume crap trade. That was my mistake. Should have focused a little bit more on the volume, and then got right back to my entry and ended up just bailing on the position because I didn't feel good about it. And of course, I missed this. But if my gut's telling me I'm better off just being out of the trade, I'll listen to that. So whatever. I missed the move, but I got out just in case this happened to come back lower, and it would have been a big loss had I held it, and I already got caught in a little bit of a crappy low volume pullback. So glad that I just bailed when I did, and it didn't end up being something worse. And then looking at Facebook, so actually sold off pretty aggressively. Did have a downside opening range break, but nice break. Filled the gap pretty quick. Don't see much else. So there wasn't very many clean setups, to be honest. I feel like I took the ones that were okay, and the entries were all right, and it goes to show because I didn't have any really big winners and pretty much just flat on the day. And I already know on days like today, I need to be careful. Don't press it. Try not to overtrade. I've already taken 5 trades. That's a decent amount pretty quick off the open. These are the days where when I continue to push, I can let a whatever day that's more of a boring, not very exciting day turn into pretty ugly red just taking a step back and waiting for another day where the price action is better. So it's basically an hour into the day, and this flag pattern actually did have a little bit of follow through. I didn't really trust it though, because looking at SPY, kind of just chopping around, looking at Qs, same thing, they feel a little tired. So I didn't really trust this upside flag, even though it had a nice move. And at this point right now, I've taken 5 trades. That's a decent amount of trades. I haven't really been able to get a lot going. Those days are going to happen. I just have to do a better job at accepting it and make sure that I don't turn a boring day into a really bad day, because that's the difference at the end of the month. So what I'm going to do now is just call it. Now, taking a look at the portfolio, I ended up making $127 on Tesla, $124 on Roku, minus 45 on CRWD, and minus 126 on PayPal, to be up $80 on the day, so basically flat. It is what it is, and overall, I can't be too upset because I feel like I didn't trade that great and there wasn't that many good setups. And if on a day where I'm not trading great and I don't see a lot of opportunities can be a flat day, then overall, that's still a good day. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.